Do you remember that green and blue screen nightmare that I had to deal with a few months back? Well, I thought it would be interesting to look at the process that went into making that. That being a social ad for a popular telephone communications brand at the start of 2021 in a global pandemic. Let me briefly start with this disclaimer though. This is not a piece of work that I am proud of. Not one that I would necessarily even admit to having been a part of. It was a paycheck I was happy to receive, a challenge I was keen to take on, and I thought a semi-interesting job to look at the process behind. Just don't judge too much, okay? I was approached by a producer I worked with before saying I've been put forward to direct the brief, which was in essence an expensive TikTok video. It didn't sound like I was up against any other directors, but you can never really be too sure with these things. I put together a very simple treatment based on their pre-existing creative. This was basically just me telling them back what they already knew, but I suppose it confirmed I understood the brief. I also took the time to put together a super rough, on my broken iPhone camera, mock edit that helped myself, as well as the client and creatives, understand timings for the clip. This had to be precise.
Oh, my heart hurts.
Ahead of the shoot, I did a number of things. Firstly, I carried out my green screen, not green screen, red screen tests, which I shared in an earlier video. I also reviewed costume with the costume department, making sure I was confident the colours and accessories would key okay against the backdrop. I went back and forth a number of times with the producer about crew, kit, and studio space. We had budget, but as always, it was limited, and because of COVID, we weren't allowed many bodies on set. This eventually ended up in meaning that the total crew was made up of a director DP, a producer, who also didn't mind getting their hands dirty with loading in, loading out, a camera assistant, who would be happy to pitch in with lighting setup, a singular hair and makeup artist for the talent, and a stylist who had designed and sourced all the costumes. COVID also meant that a few days prior to the shoot, as per the APA guidelines, I had a nurse come to my house to take some swab tests away. Less than 24 hours later, I got a text saying I was cleared to work. Happy days. A few days before the shoot, we had our final pre-production meeting with everyone via Zoom, where we went over all the details and made sure everyone, client most importantly, were on the same page. I was taxiing back and forth with kit as I was supplying a few bits and pieces myself. The rest of the gear had been delivered to the studio the day before. In all honesty, I thought the shoot was going to be really easy. This will be an easy one, I'm quoted as having said. Quoted by myself. What was out of the ordinary on this one? Again, COVID meant that we had to do a live stream of the feed via Zoom to various clients and agency members. I had done this before. There's a little video here that you can watch if you want to know a little bit more about how to do that. But I hadn't done it with my friend's Artem Mini Pro in between, which I borrowed in an effort to add the backgrounds that would be keyed in later in situ, so the clients could see remotely and be really impressed. Despite having watched several tutorials online though, I couldn't get it to work. I didn't impress. We were also shooting in 9:16. That's portrait mode, TikTok. This led to a Zoom complication, which meant 15 to 20 minutes of panicking before finally downloading an update, which meant that we could rotate the image via Zoom so the client wouldn't have to watch the whole thing on their side. We were shooting on the Sony Venice using Cooke S4s, and I was timing each action with talent on a stopwatch, giving ourselves a few milliseconds leeway either side of what we needed to hit for the sequence to work. Some logistical figuring out was done on set, with objects coming in and out of frame, which I should have definitely done before, but it just slipped my mind. And the talent was not a dream to work with. Impatient and entitled made for a much harder day for everyone involved. After we wrapped shooting, the producer played DIT and copied the cards onto 2 drives, one of which I took home as I'd been asked to send the editor a rough mock-up. A rough mock-up for something as simple as this was essentially the whole edit, but then they took the edit off my hands to deal with the keying and graphics. And that was that. Not a sexy job, not an easy job, but a paying job. I made bank, at least for me. Part of me wants to be very English and not talk about how much I made, but I've been so open about when I've not made money in other videos, so I'll tell you. I made £3,000 for my directing and DPing fee. That's for my time before and on the project. I also made an additional £500 for the kit that I provided. That was filters, matte box, lighting, sound and streaming kit, as well as a few bits of grip equipment. That's just under $4,900 total. To a lot of people, that'll sound like a disgusting amount of money, but also to a lot of commercial directors out there, they might think I was being mugged off. But let me remind you, it was in essence an expensive TikTok. Thanks very much for watching. If you found that even the slightest bit interesting, give me a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe for more semi-helpful tips and interesting insider industry knowledge.